Hey guys, a warm welcome back to the channel. Today I'm sharing my honest experience with this 3-in-1 cold press juicer with the 6.5-inch extra large chute, and honestly, this thing surprised me more than I expected. I've used a few basic juicers before, the kind where you spend more time cutting fruits than actually juicing, and this feels like a completely different experience. The first thing that stands out immediately is that massive 6.5-inch feed chute. You can literally drop in whole apples, oranges, even bigger vegetables without chopping everything into tiny pieces like you're prepping for surgery. That alone saves so much time that it actually makes you want to use the juicer regularly instead of letting it sit in the kitchen like a decorative regret. This is a cold press or masticating juicer, so instead of spinning fast and creating heat, it slowly crushes the fruits and vegetables. What that means in real use is the juice tastes fresher, looks richer, and you don't get that foamy layer on top like cheaper centrifugal juicers. I noticed the juice comes out smoother and more natural, and the pulp is pretty dry, which tells you it's extracting a good amount. Now the 3-in-1 feature is where things get interesting. It's not just a juicer. You can also make nut milk and even sorbet using frozen fruits. I tried making almond milk and it actually turned out better than expected, creamy and fresh without needing anything fancy. The sorbet feature is kind of a bonus, but honestly it's fun to use, especially if you're trying to eat healthier but still want something sweet. The 100 ounces large capacity is another big win. You can load a decent amount of fruits and just let it run without constantly refilling. If you're making juice for multiple people or prepping for the day, this makes a huge difference. It feels like it's designed for real use, not just one glass at a time. The motor is an AC motor, and you can tell it's built for heavier use. It doesn't struggle with harder vegetables like carrots or beets, and it runs relatively quietly compared to what you'd expect from a machine doing this kind of work. It's not silent, but it's not that aggressive loud noise that makes you regret waking up early to be healthy. Cleaning is something people always worry about with juicers, and I'll be honest, it's not completely effortless, but it's easier than most. The parts come apart pretty smoothly, and once you rinse them right after use, it doesn't feel like a chore. If you leave it sitting for hours, then yes, you're signing up for a bad time, but that's on you, not the machine. In terms of build quality, it feels solid. Not overly heavy, but definitely not cheap plastic either. Everything fits together properly, and it doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart after a few uses. The design is simple and modern, so it actually looks decent on the kitchen counter instead of like some bulky industrial device. Now let's be real. It's not perfect. Sometimes with very fibrous ingredients like celery or ginger, you might need to cut them a bit smaller or guide them through so they don't clog. And like most cold press juicers, it's slower than those high-speed ones, so if you're in a rush every single morning, this might test your patience a little. But overall, if you're someone trying to actually get into juicing regularly, this makes the process way more practical. Less prep time, better juice quality, and more versatility with the extra features. It feels like one of those machines that actually encourages you to stick to a healthy routine instead of making it harder. If you want to check the current deal, click the link below for the best price. Trust me, getting the right juicer makes a huge difference, and this one definitely sits in that sweet spot between performance, convenience, and value. That's my full experience using this 3-in-1 cold press juicer. It's simple, powerful, and actually useful in everyday life, which is more than I can say for half the kitchen gadgets people buy and never touch again.